Hey, what's up, everyone? So I'm going to pick up a Walmart order. Got my trusty mask here. It's nice. I don't have to get out of the car, so not just for COVID reasons, but just in general. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make a comment on initial reports that, and I've seen some video that strongly suggests this is the case, that some of the people at the Trump rally are trying to storm Capitol Hill. Now, look, as of everything, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this, but as of everything, we should wait for proper context as to what's going on. We're only seeing snippets of videos to see what's going on. But certainly if this was a left-wing rally, I would be out there commenting, even though I'm open to more evidence, but I would be out there commenting on why this was bad if it was the left. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to make the same, not a jump to conclusion, but the same initial take, and then I'll wait to see if more evidence comes forth. So there's several things to say. One, I am unambiguously condemn any sort of political violence if it occurs on the right or the left. I condemn the people that are trying to physically get through the police to get to Capitol Hill. I am saying this with the full knowledge that this will reduce the amount of people that watch my channel. That as a Trump supporter, for me to condemn this sort of things, as someone who thinks the election was stolen, that people think that I'm giving up and that this somehow means that I don't care that the election was stolen and all this stuff, that couldn't be further from the truth. And remind you, I think the election was stolen before the election because we allowed propagandists to infiltrate the mainstream media, academia, corporate America, the tech companies, etc. And their ability to propagandize will mean that they never have to steal another ballot. So I understand that there are a lot of people watching right now that'll be pissed. How dare I condemn these patriots? If these patriots are using violence to try to storm Capitol Hill and get through police, they are wrong. And they should face legal consequences for doing that. I cannot be clearer in saying that. If that upsets you as a Trump supporter, I'm sorry. I've gone through why I think that this political violence is immoral and unjustified and also unstrategic. This sort of image is exactly what the left wanted. It's exactly what the establishment wants. Because now they know that, think of the radical nature of the things that they're about to do and the things that they have done. If the police attack them first still, I don't know. We'll have to see what the full context is. But it looked to me like they were trying to storm Capitol Hill, which is a no-no anyways. But we'll see what the context is. But we should be honest. If this was on the left, many Trump supporters wouldn't be saying, well, let's look at the full video and see if the police attack them first. It is the right thing to do, and we'll see what the full context is coming out. But again, in general, just my initial take on it, without getting more evidence, political violence is wrong. I'm going to lose you just for a second here. I talk about this all the time. The way we win this is a battle of information. We need to wake up the great masses. There are the populists, regardless if you lean left-wing or right-wing, that care about the people of this country. And then there's the establishment, regardless if they claim to be Republican or Democrat, that don't give a shit about the people of this country. And they want us divided. But the vast majority of people are somewhere in the center. We need to wake those people up to our side. The establishment will now use as propaganda. Oh, look, those populists that claim to be reasonable, look, they're unhinged lunatics. It wasn't as bad. And I just want to make clear in general, right, what's going on, what my take is on the idea of political violence. I'm about to lose you for a second, and then I'll be right back. So I'll be gone for like 30 seconds. Now, let me now go to arguments that I think my supporters will like more. We have to have a sense of proportionality. Even what we saw in this video, is it anywhere close to the damage, violence, devastation we saw from Black Lives Matter, from Antifa, from leftists? Are they beating people because they're wearing hats supporting Joe Biden? Are they lighting buildings on fire? Are they looting businesses? Are they doing that sort of stuff? No, they're not doing any of that. But I just wanted to make it clear at front that I'm not being hypocritical, that anyone that's engaged in political violence should be held accountable. Again, I'm open to seeing what the circumstance around this was, but I should also be open to seeing what the circumstance around was when Antifa riots against the cops and fights the cops. They say all the time, well, that's because the cops punched them first. That's because the cops sucker punched them. That's because the cops tear sprayed them first and things like that. So I'm just trying to apply even standards here. That's all I'm doing. But certainly, this is only a small sliver of what we've seen occur from the left the entire time. So that's what I wanted to make this video about. I have predicted over and over again, if you make excuses, not just average people on the left that I talk to, like my friends and the people I debate, that's not the people that are important. It's the people that run the show for the left. The people in the mainstream media, the people in academia, the people in the tech companies, the people in the Democratic Party that have ignored or made excuses for the violence. How many times when we've talked about Black Lives Matter violence have you heard people on the left, people in power, say things like this? Well, it was only 6%. The vast majority of Black Lives Matter rallies were peaceful. Okay, the vast majority of Trump rallies were peaceful. So I don't want to hear one person who made those arguments on the left say a goddamn thing. I don't want to hear it. This was predictable. We knew this is what would happen. When you start to make excuses for why political violence is necessary, and it gets your voice heard, and it's understandable, and it's acceptable, and how focusing on the riots is a bad thing because it's majoritarily peaceful, you knew damn well that the other side would eventually do the same shit. You knew it. And that's what most of these people secretly wanted. That's what these people on the left that I debate want. That's why they're going to these rallies right now, arming themselves, saying we're defending ourselves from violence, because they are hypocritical pieces of shit. And they'll lie and say, oh no, I was against the violence on the left. I was against it when I was saying Antifa was just an ideology. When I was saying the majority of Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful. I was against the violence. They're lying. This is what the intended plan was all along, which is another reason to resist the urge to want to engage in the very tactics that the left engages in. Because they control the narrative, when you engage in those tactics, they will then use that to crack down on you. So the answer is winning the culture war and the information war. If you jump into and I know what you're saying, and I agree with you, in the interest of fairness, if it's okay for the left to burn down buildings for their cause, why isn't it okay for the right? Yes, that would be the anti-hypocritical position to take. I say that all of it's wrong, and I'm trying to illustrate how you don't want to fall into the trap that they're setting. Because that vast group of people in the middle that we need are going to just be like, probably what they'll say is, all sides are nuts in this. I don't give a shit. I just give up. Whatever. The government will lock me down. The government will take all my shit. There's no sensible person out there. That's what they'll be saying. I kind of started to sympathize with these people on the right, or Trump supporters and stuff, that were pointing out the insanity of the left. I was sympathizing with the fact that we literally had leaders in this country that were bending over backwards to excuse the fact that we had riots that went on since George for 6 months or longer. I was warming up to that side, like, yeah, this is crazy shit. But now I see that it's all bullshit. They're willing to go out and do the same. I'm not saying this is the same. Hear me out. I'm not saying that. But that's how it's going to be spun, and that's how people that aren't looking at this situation as much as us are going to interpret it. But the real point I want to make is, when I had all my friends, if you're watching right now, you know that if you're one of them, my friends in real life that said I was a lunatic when I said that Trump should use the National Guard to stop the riots because these Democratic mayors were intentionally allowing the riots to occur and refusing the National Guard. When they said, oh, Rob, oh my God, you're an animal. What are you doing? I said, what the hell do you think I'm doing? Because if you don't, then the other side is going to start engaging in the same behavior as well. Then we're going to have anarchy and people beating the shit out of each other on the streets and killing each other on the streets. Is that what you want? Now, how hard was it to see that this was going to happen? Now listen, there's a difference. The people that control the left, and not just the left, it's not a left-right thing. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, they're all into this shit too. But the people that control the establishment, this is what they wanted. They do that. This is their strategy all the time. They do some heinous action and then goad the other side into doing the very actions they're taking. They issued a quid pro quo to stop an investigation into the Obama-Biden administration allies. Then they impeach Trump for allegedly issuing a quid pro quo. They illegally investigate Trump. Then they accuse Trump of being a criminal if he wants to investigate the other side. They engage in riots and slander and racism. Then when the other side engages in things that are interpreted that way, they condemn them. That's the plan. That's what they do. Oop. Sorry, I lost you there. That's what they do over and over again. But those people in positions of leadership are different than the people I talk to that are on the left that I know in real life and things like that. Many of those people aren't involved in leadership of the Democratic Party or the establishment or the Republican Party. Those people legitimately were brainwashed into thinking that it was somehow acceptable to have political violence on the left because their voice needed to be heard because white privilege and Black Lives Matter and bullshit like that I also fight against regularly. And I said, don't you understand what you're doing? You do understand how you're going to radicalize the other side. You get that, right? We know you don't give a shit because you're brainwashed or you're a hypocrite or something. You don't care when your side is committing violence because you say, oh, I'm not going to be targeted by my side's violence, so I don't care. I'm not personally at risk. I'm not the shop owner that lost my shop. I'm not David Dorn that was executed. I'm not the 5 police officers in Dallas that a Black Lives Matter person murdered. So I don't give a shit. I'm on their side. Let them go out and engage in violence. I said, you do understand, though, that this will set the precedent that the other side will then engage in violence, and now you and your loved ones will be targeted. You get that, right? Not to mention Antifa and Black Lives Matter will also target you if they feel that you go off the reservation. You get that, right? You understand it. Oh, no, that would never happen. So let me call out someone specifically like Dylan Burns, who's out there nobly fighting against these invaders, these far right-wing invaders, because he lives in D.C. Now, he didn't do shit when the noble left-wing invaders came to D.C. and were burning down St. John's Church and other shit like that. He didn't care about that. Surprisingly quiet when it came to that stuff. Isn't that odd? Surprisingly quiet. But now he's out there. I told people like Dylan, I said, if you're unwilling to condemn this stuff, when it's used against you, you'll cry. He couldn't believe. Can you believe that the Proud Boys ripped up a Black Lives Matter sign? Ooh, that agitated him so much. Didn't have much to say at the businesses being burnt down by Black Lives Matter. Didn't have much to say about the statues being destroyed. Didn't have much to say about all the looting. Didn't care about that. But as soon as he perceived someone as his political ally having their personal property destroyed, all of a sudden that was a big deal. My God, that's horrible. It's not just Dylan. The same is true of left-wing person after left-wing person. The reason I bring up Dylan is because I actually respect him as someone who I think's arguing in good faith. But he couldn't predictably see what his silence or his accepting. Now he's going to go back and rewrite history and go, oh, actually, I did condemn this violence. And it's not just condemning the violence, because that's different. The important part is people in positions of leadership and what that they do. Remember when Jerry Nadler was asked about left-wing violence in Antifa? He said, that's a myth. Remember when we were told that it's just an ideology? Remember when excuse after excuse after excuse was given to justify, oh, it's only a small portion of these Black Lives Matter rallies? Then you don't get to say shit when the other side riots. Again, even if we theoretically a full-blown riot breaks out in D.C. tonight, how many Trump rallies have there been? And so this is one riot? So the vast majority of Trump rallies have been peaceful, right? So do you think people on the left will go, fair enough, we're not going to mention this riot at all. Why would we just focus on this riot? The vast majority of Trump rallies are peaceful. Do you think that's what they're going to say? Do you think that's what Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi are going to say? Of course not. All right, I'm here to get my Walmart order, so bear with me for a moment. In fact, I'll just end it here. I might come on and do another video on the drive home. But understand what I'm saying. I condemn political violence. We can see what the circumstances are behind why it appears these people were rushing the police if the police attacked them first. But if we're going to do that, which I agree we should also give Black Lives Matter the benefit of that doubt as well. When we see them fighting with police, we should say, well, what's the greater context? Were there videos out there that showed the police started it? I had initial takes with Black Lives Matter and the riots that I saw with them and Antifa. And so I'm going to have that same initial take here when it comes to someone that's perceived on my political side. And even if it's not as it seems, I want to be clear that I condemn this political violence because it's immoral. Or I condemn political violence, even if this wouldn't fit into that definition, which it seems to me that it does at this point. But I condemn political violence because it's immoral and it's unstrategic. And I'm trying, and I've spent 2 years on my show pushing back against radicals on my side that said, the left engages in violence, why can't we? I continually and will continually push back against that. But the greater reason that I'm making this video is to say to all my friends on the left, to everyone on the left that made any excuse for any of the violence we saw on the left, shut your fucking mouth. You don't get to say a word. Shut up. And I'm going to have friends in real life that aren't going to like when I talk to them. Because they're going to say, geez, Rob, my God, did you see this violence? Shut your mouth! You endorsed Black Lives Matter that had violence occur in over 200 cities. You endorsed it. You said focusing on the riots was bad because the majority of it was peaceful. So shut up! You don't get to say a damn word. You're getting the civil war you wanted, you stupid shit. People like me that have integrity will continue to speak out against it. But you, shut your mouth. You disgust me. But I'll still protect you. I'll defend you. I don't want to see you fall victim to the very violence that you cheered for or ignored. That's it. That's all I have to say. No, I know I'm passionate about it because I'm very passionate about I don't want to see people get hurt. Amen and women. Yeah, you're right. Thanks. So, now, having said that, I have a kid coming Friday. It's the most exciting time of my life, and I'm very happy. But it's nice to vent. I hope if you're in D.C. and you're watching this, please, 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 God, I don't care if you're on the left or the right, please stay safe. Please, please stay safe. I don't want the people that are there cheering for Trump. I don't want the people that are there cheering against Trump to have to go through any violence. I don't. Please stay safe. Make your message in a peaceful way. There are other things we could do to fight back, please. So, all right, thanks so much, everyone. We'll talk to you all soon. I might do a video on the way back. Probably be calmer, but thank you so much. As always, have a good one.